Well, greetings and thanks for joining us today for another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 131. If you're joining us live, that's great. Otherwise, this is also being live streamed on YouTube, as well as stored on YouTube. And we've now turned this into a podcast. So whether you're listening to this live or viewing with us or doing it later, we're glad you're with us today. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. Lightbulb moment to me is a moment of sudden realization, enlightenment, or inspiration. These episodes invite you to take a pause midweek and allow some space for your own lightbulb moments and to be part of a community of growth-minded leaders, unsatisfied with the status quo, and we're all driven by impact. Through our guests, we invite members of a brain trust, as well as my own insights and curated thoughts. And 99% of success in life, according to a recent Harvard study, comes from your reference group. So who you spend time with. We're thrilled you're spending time with us, and we hope you're spending time with others that have a growth mindset. And regarding lightbulb moments, remember, in the words of Bruce Springsteen, you can't start a fire without a spark. Hopefully today you'll get a spark. At Cunity, we're here to take what's confusing, overwhelming, and complex and create a clear path towards greater profitability, great culture, and a competitive edge. Remember to prosper, manage your ATM, the three currencies we have in life: attention, time, and money. And thank you for spending your precious time with us today. We love hearing from you. You could submit a lightbulb moment of your own on the website or in the chat today, or just reach out to us directly. Last week, we had Kelly Eilers, and it was a great session. You might want to watch the recording on this. You should watch all the recordings. But as some people said, this was almost a master class, which is very unique in our programs. Usually it's more of a conversation, and it was a conversation, but boy, did she drop a ton of just great information. I had several people reach out to me afterwards and said, how do I listen to the recording? So great session with Kelly. She was super generous on trends. And I think, as she said, 2024 is coming in hot, and social media is changing a lot. Check it out. Also, 2 weeks ago, we had my friend Roderick Samuels on. He is a school operator in Michigan. And we had a great conversation. Very passionate guy, and not to mention the recent award-winning Educator of the Year with NAHA. So that was a great episode, also 2 weeks ago. Check it out. This week, I'm going to invite to the mic and the screen in a few minutes here, Garrison Neal. He's Vice President of Neal Corporation and the Paris Parker Salons. I'll get to his bio in a little bit here, but we'll bring Garrison to the mic here in a little bit. Very excited to have Garrison. I've been wanting Garrison on for a while. And we'll be talking with him very shortly. Couple news from the community and dates. Reminder, we do have a exit workshop coming up. We call it exit, but it's really not the full story. Really what it is, it's for those that are looking to grow or go, or to let go. So this is not just for people that are interested in exiting their business now, but people that are looking to exit their business in upcoming years, and also for strategies, techniques, examples, case studies on how you can let go. As you decide to allow the next generation to bring into leadership, just different ways for you to also let go. We also go through 5 keys to your valuation and what to, higher valuation and that you want and deserve, and specifically break it down into some key areas, and as well as what to do now. So this is really about gaining confidence, being prepared, and maximizing value, and getting educated. This is for current business owners, key employees interested in purchasing, family members, or potential owners. And it is October 22nd in Atlanta, Georgia. It is a 1 to 5:30 p.m. I'd like you to see it sort of as a master class. We're going to have a bunch of guests and subject matter experts. And I've been doing extra research on transactions, case studies, et cetera. I've had a lot of fun preparing for this. I haven't done a workshop like this until 4 years ago, and we will sell out. 2 to 10 is coming up. That's actually in the days after the workshop down in Atlanta. And someone posted this, doggone it, on a scale of 1 to Tom, how excited are you for 2 to 10 this year? All right, I'm very excited. And I think a lot of other people are excited. There's a ton of reasons to attend 2 to 10. If you qualify, you have to have between 2 and 10 locations and receive an invite. If you qualify, if you are interested, let us know. We have a fantastic group this year. And I just was in touch with Van Council yesterday. He is sending all of his managers. I think he's got 10 people coming to this conference. So you're going to be surrounded by some of the best and the best at this session coming up. We also have a great speaker, Jay Van Bavel. He wrote the book, The Power of Us. So definitely 2 to 10, keep on your radar. Also, Aaron's podcast, Money 02, check out some upcoming episodes. And then we did add some new dates on November 13th and 14th on our Execution SBO workshop, the one we just completed like 3 weeks ago. We've already added another date. And this is really a signature program for us. It is in Minnesota. If you're interested in joining us, let us know. We're excited about that. Also, we have several members of the school community join us today. Thank you for being part of Money EDU if you are. Otherwise, we'd love to bring financial literacy to students. My light bulb moment last session, I'm actually going to cheat a little bit. This is from 2 sessions ago. And it really is the question, is this even something we should be doing? Someone said to that, and I just wrote it and I put it next to my computer, and I'm asking myself that question all the time. In a high growth business, which is business that we're in, it's really a very iterative process to pause and say, is this something we should even be doing? So it's really being super strategic on what you do. My light bulb moment this week is a little bit of a continuation of last week, and that's a generational issue not being discussed. And that is that 2/3 of small businesses today, and by the way, 99% of businesses in the US are small businesses, at least 2/3 of them are owned by baby boomers, and there's a generational transfer of unprecedented relevance coming up very soon. Somebody sent me this article. Japan's business owners can't find successors. This man has given his away. So in Japan, they're calling actually a potentially devastating economic impact of an aging society. We could do something about that, though. We can do something about that. And so for those of you that are proactive, some of the things, and these are things that we actually drive in our programs without intentionally impacting valuation, is management. These are the things that drives a more valuable company. Your management team, a lack of reliance on the owner, performance, especially EBITDA, which is a form of earnings, as well as top line growth, readiness, specifically owner readiness and business readiness. Super important, this one, and I've seen this firsthand, how this either killed deals, slowed deals, or whatever. It's getting your financial house in order. A little plug for our Money SBO program, because that is exactly what it does. Money SBO definitely is something that will help in that last area. So I've also been thinking a lot about, a lot of people have asked me for like a path. So what's your path to go or let go? A lot of people are like, I don't want to be behind the chair. I want to be able to take 8 weeks off, that kind of stuff. And so you're going to start to hear me talking about something called 13X, which is a structured way to drive results in your business. And it's really for growth-minded owners and managers that will allow for growth and allow for the owner to let go, step back a little bit, maybe get out from behind the chair, maybe focus on some areas of interest in life. And essentially what 13X is, it's really looking at a 3-year period, which will have 12 quarters plus a bonus quarter. It's 13 significant improvements in the business. So every single quarter, commit to some type of improvement in the business, something that will change from a marketing standpoint, education, operations, initiative, all different things that would be, and I'm sure you all can think of something. It's just knock one off a quarter. And then at the end of 3 years, you will have had 13 significant improvements in your business. And at the same time, stay very, very focused on recurring activities that really drive profits, culture, and a competitive edge. And essentially this drives valuation, allows the owner to let go or go. And so those are some of my light bulb moments this week. You're going to hear more about 13X. All right. I am going to invite Garrison Neal to the mic and to the screen here. Garrison, I'm going to take a little bit of trip down memory lane here for a second, okay?
All right. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
I'll do a full intro for you in a second here, but in fact, you know what? Let me start with the full intro because I want to do justice. So you're a member of a third generation family business, Neal Corporation, which is a multifaceted, vertically integrated beauty education, distribution, and service business. Garrison graduated from Tulane University with a Bachelor of Science in Management and Entrepreneurship, then lived and worked in San Francisco, where he was instrumental in business development for software company Demandforce. Upon returning to New Orleans to rejoin the family business, Garrison has focused on business development for Aveda, they're an Aveda distributor, was also the visionary behind the Parker Barber brand, and currently serves as vice president of Neal Corporation and the Paris Parker Salons and Spas. So great background. And I'm going to show a couple pictures here, then it's just going to be you and I on the screen, okay?
Cool.
So one of the ways, Garrison, that you and I got to know each other was, probably about 8 years ago. And you were at a stage in your career where you had already had quite a bit of street credit. You had come from San Francisco and worked outside the family business for a while. But we got to be involved in a really cool project. It was called the Emerging Leaders. And in many ways, you were sort of the foundation of that program. You were at the very beginning of the idea. This wasn't 2 to 10, was probably 5 years into it. We said, we've got to be relevant for the next generation. So we created this structure called Emerging Leaders. We set some age criteria, and then it also resulted in some competitions and awards, because what we did is we assembled a group of usually 2 teams, and you led a team 1 year, you were on a team 1 year, and then you mentored a team another year, and you did take home the cup 1 year, by the way. Congratulations to that. But it was really cool because it was a lot of young professionals of which that were rising into stardom. And many of them have continued to rise to stardom, including yourself in the beauty industry, and some have left to other industries. So I'm looking at this picture right there, and I see Garrison there. I also see Colleen, who recently has a great position at Aveda. I'm also looking at Lauren Cooper, who now works for Tippy. There's Austin Randolph, who might be with us today. There is Michael Gordon and a few other names. Suzette Nordstrom of the Nordstrom family in Weldon Barber. And then here's another year. Aaron's in this photo. And there's Tatum in there too. So Tatum got into the act. And then there's also this picture at a conference where all of you are presenting in front of the 2 to 10 group, which is a pretty intimidating group. And there is your brother, Tatum, with the mic. This competition ended up being a cover story in Salon Today. And there is the cup. And to complete our memory, trip down memory lane, I found one other picture. I thought I'd throw it up. And you also were a panelist with Aaron at PBA. So anyway, let's get the photos out of the way. Fun times. And let's start with that. What did that mean to you personally, the Emerging Leader Group?
Yeah, well, first, thank you for having me, but also thank you for always pushing me to get involved. And really, I feel like what happened with the Emerging Leader Group spawned many things for me. It gave me a power as a leader in the industry, and it gave us all a platform, the next generation. And little things like that really help build confidence in the next generation. And you were a great mentor to all of us. And, I don't know if we've really talked about this, but the first thing that we won for this idea was it was the Salon of Tomorrow. And I kind of executed that in our Paris Parker Carondelet location. I mean, it's missing a coffee shop, but other than that, it's got the creative space, the shared workspace, the studio, all within the salon. And, that was basically the foundation of what we presented and won in that
It's
article.
incredible. So it actually fueled your business model in future years.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Well, a lot of light bulb moments to discuss with you. And, you are, we'll talk generational right there because you are third generation, your third sort of fourth generation family business. And so let's kind of unpack that. What a legacy and what shoes that you have to jump into with such a esteemed organization. How's that been like for you?
Well, it's an honor, but also, there's times where there's a lot of weight that comes with it. I'm one of seven. My oldest brother, Edwin, is the CEO of the company, who, you've had on many people know him. But it really started with my grandparents. Then my dad really kind of took it to the next level. And then this third generation with Edwin and my mom really running the company has even taken it further than I think dad ever thought was possible. But, dad left a lasting impact on the industry. A lot of people probably have heard of Edwin Neal II. Back, depending on when you knew him, he went by Smokey. And he just loved the industry so much. And he was so committed to elevating the professional in the beauty industry. And between him and my mom, they dedicated their whole life to helping people reach their full potential, but it was really helping the beauty industry reach their full potential. And, so it's great. I mean, people are always surprised by how well we get along.
I was going to comment on it. Let me jump in, okay? Because last night I was thinking about you and just mentally just thinking about what we chat today is, I've been under the hood, for those listeners in here, I've been under the hood. And what I wrote down this morning, is cohesiveness. And, there's this Succession series and, Cutthroat. That's not the Neal environment. You guys work together very cohesively. And I've seen times where there could have been a lot of conflict, and it's super impressive. So I do give a shout out to you and the family and what you've accomplished, because that's not easy.
No, it's not. And, dad did the work. He brought the right people in to give us the right mentorship and coaching. And it's all about just surrounding your team with the right resources for them to succeed. And I lost my dad when I was 16. And I'm grateful every day I had access to the right mental health tools and the right people to really coach me through it. And I think that's really part of our secret to success is just this pursuit of personal development.
Yeah, it's hard to think of two words to describe organizations. It's very difficult to really have that level of clarity. But I know the two words, and it's full potential. That always has really been the mission of the organization, and it still lives on today. You feel it every year at Serious Business too. So talk about full potential and maybe what that means to you and embracing that.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing to say about full potential is you'd never really quite reach that self-actualization, right? It's really about the pursuit, the learning part that never ends. God, there's so many different things. To me, I think Serious Business is just such a great example of our commitment to full potential. And, that's not, yes, we're an Aveda distributor, but that is not an Aveda specific conference. I think only 30 or 40% of our attendees have Aveda in their salon. It's really about the industry. And, my mom has always said, business development starts with personal development. And that is really what we're doing at Serious Business. It's about bringing people together to expose them to different thinking. I mean, and it's Tom, you've been to so many of the 25 plus that we've had. I mean, we had people like Deepak Chopra and Malcolm Gladwell. These are speakers that you might question why they're speaking to the beauty industry. And that's, to us, that's exactly why they're speaking. Because they're different.
Yeah, there's definitely something that comes out of Serious Business every year. Being exposed to new thought leadership is one of many. So So when we talk about full potential and that really being a guiding principle, purpose, whatever words we use, I made a comment about Edwin the second, who was a big mentor to me. And he would move people around. I mean, I think there's people that I've known for 25 years and they've been in 5 or 10 roles. And talk about that a little bit.
I mean, yeah, he was able to give this level of tough love that would bring you to tears, you know, but people really, he changed their life. I mean, to this day, I mean, we have so many team members at Neil who've been with the company for 25, 30 years. You know, I was talking to Karen Mack this morning, who's she runs our HR. I mean, she started on our switchboard back when, they had a switchboard plugging things into different locations. So it's like, yeah, I think exposing her to this type of thinking has allowed her to grow. And someone like Karen or like Lee Duty or Roger Duty, like I feel like that is really what the legacy of Neil is. It's about the impact that we've been able to have on their lives and helping them reach their full potential.
And to your credit, they've spent their career there. I mean, it's hard to have someone spend their career anywhere, especially today. And you mentioned some great examples. People I know and love, Roger and Lee, are fantastic, And so the values of the company, you talked about, relevance and something. I want to get into some of your activities. So certainly Paris Parker, we'll get to that in a moment. But you're out in salons every single week. Is that correct?
If I'm not in our salons in Paris Parker, I'm out working with other salons, in our distribution territory. And that's everything from meeting with people that maybe don't even have a Veda that want to talk about how to work better with the school and recruiting. We have a really big focus on recruiting at Paris Parker. So I end up spending a lot of time talking with people about how they can really best staff their salon. Because that's like right now, like recruiting and culture, those are like the two hot topics right now in the industry, from what I can tell.
Just for some context for our listeners that may not know, Paris Parker salons are owned and operated by the Neil family. It's a separate business. Is it 11 how many locations now?
We have 8 Paris Parkers and 3 Parker Barbers.
Gotcha.
They're to a lot of people, like they don't even know that Paris Parker and Parker Barber are connected within the community, but they are like one leadership team owned by Neil. But yeah, I mean, the thing that I love about Paris Parker is working with the team, but it also is what allows us to really walk the talk with our customers and other, people in the industry. It's like what informs us about what's the right thing to do for the professional channel.
Yeah, and I think it creates relatability too, because every organization's had their struggles. And
Sure.
Paris Parker, from what I'm understanding with you, I mean, Paris Parker has always been in great shape, but it's an organization that's not immune to challenges. I think you've done a hell of a job in your leadership with Paris Parker. I know when you started to come in about 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago, you've owned that and the business is growing and it's successful. So talk about that, because that was really, there's multiple assignments that will come up in a career like yours, and you have so many different brands, but that's the one you're sinking your teeth in. So
Yeah, I mean, in a family business, it's like really you do whatever you need to do where you're needed. But Paris Parker has definitely been my focus. And, it was hard for me to, I guess this idea, I mentioned it earlier, but like, it was my dad's company. Like the company has really grown leaps and bounds with my mom and Edwin the third leading the company. And I had to like kind of like grasp with how do I show up? And how do I make my impact? And so I had to figure out how to like lead in my own natural way. And like obviously there's great foundational things there, but for me, I really wanted to I felt like I needed to connect with the team. And actually there's a mentor of mine that has a book called The Seismic Shift in Leadership, and it's all about how connection drives results. So I really kind of flipped it Paris Parker on its head, the way that we were doing things. And we used to really coach to the numbers, and we made a big shift to coach to the values and the experience. And that, to me, has been the most natural way to lead, because it's really about putting our team and our customers first.
You mentioned a quote from the Fugees. Why don't you go there for a moment?
Yeah. So I was actually last week on the way to do a presentation at one of the beauty schools, and I was listening to the Fugees, and Lauryn Hill has this line where she says, "How are you going to win if you ain't right within?" And that really resonated with me, because at Paris Parker, love is one of our core values. And people sometimes are like, "Oh, well, what is love doing as part of a corporation's values?" And the way that we see it is that love really starts with self-love. And so that speaks really to the mental health of the team member. It's like they have to be right within them, within their self, in order to grow and have the positive impact that they really want. And so, what I tell the team all the time is, what we do at Paris Parker is we evoke self-love. And I stole that one from my mom, who's one of my greatest mentors. And it's about creating this transformational experience within the salon. When you turn that client around and they look in the mirror for the first time as their service is finished, like that moment right there when they smile at themselves is where that self-love really grows. And David Wagner talks about it a lot. I mean, we know that we are having a positive impact on people every day with what we are doing in the salon. And so what I mean by coaching to the values is, like, I don't care how good at cutting hair you are, or coloring hair. If you're going to work for Paris Parker and you want to be on this team, you have to really commit to these values resonate with me, because those are the things that are going to get us through the hard days or the arguments. It's like being connected to the similar purpose of why we're here.
And lay out your values, if you would.
Yeah. So it's one is experience, providing transformational experiences. We also, one of the things that we say is that our hairdressers, and this has been true for 20 years, our hairdressers are the most important resource we're caring for our clients. We embrace diversity, but development is required, and it's all about developing the customer, the service provider, and the community collectively. And love, and it all starts with self-love. I mean, we could spend a whole day just talking about values.
Right.
It's actually, we just relaunched NQC. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I spend like a full half day just going into values and how we coach to those.
We'll save unpacking for a later day. And I'm sure it's rich and a lot of depth to it, which is very meaningful. Let's move over to COVID, and tough stretch there. And you used an analogy that I thought was super interesting about Katrina.
Yeah. So Katrina, was probably our biggest test that we had ever gone through, because my dad died in 2004, and then Katrina happened in 2005. So like dad dies, we're like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? We've lost our leader, and so we thought we were doing great, and then Katrina hits, and it was like this other huge test, right? But what came out of Katrina was that we created a disaster team that got together, and anytime there was a hurricane that was potentially coming, they'd get together and meet about what do we need to do, because we're here in Southeast Louisiana. Luckily, the company is based in Hammond, which makes it a little less vulnerable. But we have to make sure, even if there's a hurricane happening here, that products arriving in Texas or Tennessee, or when we own Salon Biz, we had to make sure your Salon Biz was still working when there was a hurricane here in Louisiana. So that team got together, and really it was our brother Ross that was like, look, I think this was in January, like I think January, early February of 2020, that hurricane team got together and they said, all right, how can we take what we've applied here for a hurricane and apply it to what is going to potentially happen to COVID? And so we made some really good decisions early on, and it saved us. It was incredible. And I never would have thought that something we learned from a hurricane would help us get through a disaster like COVID, a pandemic, but it did.
Life is full of silver linings, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
I thought that was super interesting and a really great analogy. And, the other thing I know that you've done during not just Katrina, but other disasters is you're also the first out there with your relief fund. And I know Edwin is all you are very passionate about that. Talk about the relief fund just for a sec here.
So we have a charity called the Salon and Spa Relief Fund that we started after Katrina because we had so many friends in the industry that were affected that weren't getting the support that they needed to from insurance. So what we did was we created the Salon and Spa Relief Fund, and that works for any disaster these days, natural disaster. So fires, things like that, like we deploy funds. And it was also quite helpful during COVID. A lot of salons benefited from that.
So your company is what, 800 to 900 people altogether amongst all the divisions? Is that about right?
About 800 people.
And kind of back to the values and the culture and all of that. And that's a pretty big scale to be dealing with. And, I don't even know my question here. It's more of an acknowledgement that to spread the self-love, to spread the values, to spread the purpose and the why has got to be daunting for a business that's maybe trying to do that with 20 people, let alone 800 to 900 people. I'm sure you're going to say so much of it has to do with the team, but unpack that for a little bit. How you create that cohesive with that,
and honestly,
that head count.
It really does have to do with the team. I mean, the team is the one, they really believe in what we are doing and saying, that integrity has always been there with Neil. And so I feel like that makes it a lot easier for our leaders that are in, because we have, especially with Aveda Arts and Sciences Institutes, we have locations from Seattle, we have the one in Minneapolis all the way to Soho. So a lot of them are outside of like our region where we're currently doing business. And, we just have a great team that's out there that believes in the mission. And we've given them the personal development that they need to be able to have those conversations with the team. And then, as far as branding goes, Tom, like, and values too, it's like depending on the Aveda Arts and Sciences versus Paris Parker and Neil, like really the way I think about it is like Neil's like the parent, like that has the values. And then each of the kids, their values are informed by the parent, but they all change depending on the business unit.
I think a big development in the Neil family and the Neil ecosystem is Tatum and you and Tatum, and how each of you bring a very different perspective. Tatum has been hugely successful as a creative, probably still riding on a high from his recent presentations at the Congress Festival. And he's out there with this Elevate program that has now been around several years. I've got to think that must give you and the family a lot of pride to know that you have someone out there really pushing the creative side.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my mom said it this last weekend. For those of you that saw Tatum's Elevate presentation at Aveda Congress, I mean, it was incredible. And he said on stage, it really is about getting, like, how Elevate started was with this idea of just creating community. It wasn't about brand at all. And it still to this day is not about brand. It's about salons within within New Orleans is how we started it. There was a salon next door that we saw those people go in and out every day who we never connect to. And so the idea was like, let's connect, not about brand, about craft and why we are here to do this thing called beauty. And so it started there, and it really grew, and people were like yearning for this sense of community. And Tatum says it, that if we really got aligned as an industry, as a community, we could tell the majority of the world this message in 6 to 8 weeks. No one touches more people than hairdressers do.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah. So yeah, but no, Tatum definitely he really rounds us out as a family, because for a long time we haven't had a hairdresser as one of the shareholders and family members, and Tatum really fills that void, and he does it in just such an amazing way. And he really has a passion for the whole industry, but especially the next generation. And I think that is why Elevate has been so successful, is it's giving a platform to the next generation and allowing them to show up and show their ability on stage.
At this point in my life and my career, I'm much more mindful about the next generation and what our job is to set them up for success. And it's nice to really build on momentum. You and Tatum, and I think of Aaron, and I think of Austin Randolph, and I really think of, and I seem to be meeting more and more. Just this last weekend, I was in Chicago at Intercoiffure, and I can't tell you how many next generation I'm meeting, the sons and the daughters, and it's super exciting to really see what you guys are doing, because there's others that are doing great things like this too from your generation, and I hope to highlight them even more and more in Lightbulb Moments. We're going to get to see you at 2 to 10 in a few weeks.
Yes.
And we, of course, will be at Serious Business in January. What are the dates in January? I'm going to Ireland right before that. Maybe, and we do recommend Serious Business.
Yeah, Serious Business is the weekend of the January 20th.
Okay.
So it'll really take place on Sunday and Monday, the 21st and 22nd.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to that, and we'll be there in full force, and it'll be year number 20. What year is it?
Oh
26.
gosh, I think it's like 27, maybe.
Yeah, and I think I probably have only missed maybe 2 or 3, and so it's one of those things you just don't miss. All right, let's go over to Garrison and your personal life here a little bit, personal and other stuff. Now, do you still co-own a hotel?
Yes, I do. It's funny how it happened, but I had a friend who had spent a lot of his career doing hotels, and he had a passion. One thing that a lot of people may or may not know about my dad was he had a passion for historic preservation and real estate. And like downtown Hammond, where our Hammond campus is, I mean, he really started this renaissance. We moved to Hammond in 77, and shortly after that, he started this renaissance of really rebuilding downtown Hammond. And today it's like Hammond is one of the fastest, I think it is actually the fastest growing city in Louisiana. And it's got this beautiful downtown. Anyway, so I met this guy, Jason, who became a good friend, and he asked me to be involved in one of his projects. And fast forward, I did get involved, but then I introduced him to Paris, and they got married, and then they have a 1-year-old. And it's really just turned out to be this amazing story of like this, almost like
I did not know
another branch of the family business.
All right, so you introduced the two of them. I did not know that.
Yeah, I did. And yeah, it's been really special to see. All
right, and you're a dad now.
Yeah, I have 2 girls. I'm a girl dad. Ivy is 6, and Olive turned 4 last week. And they're just awesome kids. I mean, really, when you talk about legacy, I mean, that's reaching my full potential is really about the impact that my kids are going to have on the world. And well, yes, Neal Corporation is our legacy. So are the children. and they just inspire me every day. I'll tell you just for a little joke, my 4-year-old at her birthday, she had a Little Mermaid themed party, and she's a redhead, and someone gave her a mermaid costume, an Ariel costume, and it came with a red wig, and she said, "This is the dumbest present ever. Why would they give me a red-headed wig? I already have red hair."
I love it. I love it.
It's fun, and I already take the kids into the business, and I think they get very excited about the salons.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. I mean, look, I grew up in the salons. My one of my first jobs was working the front desk in the salon. So as soon as they can be, they will be working there.
We'll look forward to it. I'll make sure I age well so I can be there to witness it.
Yeah, for sure.
Garrison, you've been a great guest. Let's everybody give him a virtual round of applause. Give him a little shout out in the chat, will you please? Give this man a shout out in the chat. Garrison, you are officially a member of the Brain Trust. You'll get your $1 million light bulb very soon. And what a great session. Great to spend time with you. So thank you, Garrison.
Thanks again for having me. Really appreciate it.
My friend. All right. There we go. It's another episode of Light Bulb Moments here. As we wrap up, I do want to give a shout out to a couple sponsors, in particular, Lightheart Sanders, as well as Ally Health. Reminder, we do have some upcoming dates coming up here for a workshop on transition planning. We have 2 to 10, and we have an execution workshop in November. Some good stuff coming. We're getting excited about next year. It's going to be a busy 6 months for us. And I love connecting with this community and bringing another member of the Neal family into this conversation, as always, brings me a lot of joy. So thanks to all of you for joining us. I'll take a moment after we shut down here to read some of the chat comments, and we will be on again next week, and we'll look forward to it. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you on another episode.